You're simply the best. Better than all the rest.
Hello, welcome back to the channel, it's JPA here. In today's video I'm going to be talking about Motherwell versus Rangers on Sunday. If you're new to the channel, please think about hitting that subscribe button. Hit the like button as well, and we'll be well on our way to 300, which is my next target. Thank you guys for all your support. We'll just get straight into this video. So it's Motherwell versus Rangers, as I said, on Sunday. It's a 12 noon kick-off. It's available on Sky Sports Football, also available on Sky Sports Main Event as well. I'd imagine Rangers TV will have it, but I don't know what I just say that well, and it doesn't. I have not really actually looked into that, to be honest, but if you can get on Rangers TV, get it there, because the commentary is obviously much better. You don't have to put up with Andy Walker or anything like that, talking absolute nonsense about Morelos having to be sent off. Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting game, this one. I've always kind of looked at the this fixture. Obviously I looked at the Aberdeen one thinking that's going to be a dodgy fixture. We managed to get through that. This is the next one. It's a big game. Even at the best of times, Fir Park is never an easy place to go, and it's going to be a little bit of unknown quantity because they've just lost their manager. Stevie Robinson left by mutual consent a couple of weeks ago. Graham Alexander, the ex-Scotland internationalist, has stepped in, and he seems to have got off to a decent start. They drew their last game against St Mirren 1-1. Pretty decent result. They obviously want to try and win these games, but their form of late has been very, very poor. They lost the previous game to Hamilton 3-0. I think that was Keith Lasley that stepped in for that game. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I'm pretty sure it was, because Robinson had obviously left by that point. And the game before that, which was Stevie Robinson's team, lost 2-0 to Kilmarnock. They've changed their formation a couple of times this season. In those two games against St Mirren and Hamilton, they played a 4-3-3. In the Killie game they played a 3-5-2, but if you remember back to the last game where they played us at Ibrox, they played a 5-5-0, which is absolutely insane. I've never seen a block like that in my life, and they did give us a little bit of a scare that day. They went in front very early on, and they sat back in, and they sat back. Didn't do a lot, and we managed to grind them down and eventually get the win on that occasion. Fantastic. So obviously, as I was saying, last two results against Motherwell for Rangers has been a 3-1 at Ibrox, and earlier in the season we got a 5-1 win against them at Fir Park, which was a really good match. Cedric Ayton as well got a double that day. I don't know if you can remember that game, but that was he hadn't scored yet, and he managed to come on and score two really good goals. And in fact, his only other goal in the league has come against Motherwell as well, in that 3-1 game. So it's interesting, the history this season against them, but I don't know what kind of Motherwell is going to turn up tomorrow. Will they be galvanised under this new management? Will they go for us and try and play football and try and take the game by the scruff of the neck and try and go forward? To me, I honestly don't think that. I think they will go back to their natural defensive positions. I don't think they'll play a 5-5-0 this time. I think that's absolutely insane, and I think that's what ultimately cost Robinson his job. Far too negative, in my opinion. A lot of it was him that walked away. The results obviously weren't good enough, and that's probably part of the reason why. So it's interesting to see how they line up against us. They have got good players. Long, the guy who scored against us last time, I think he's a good player. They've got Tony Watt in there. Alan Campbell, I think, is a fantastic player in midfield. They've obviously lost Turnbull, and I think that's maybe why things have went so wrong for Motherwell this season. When you lose one of your best midfield players and don't replace them, then it's always going to be difficult. But anyway, that's pretty much enough on Motherwell. We pretty much know what we're going to get from them. They're a very physical side. They will defend for large parts of the game and try and hit us on the counter-attack. I would say they're very similar in standard to Aberdeen. I think maybe Aberdeen have maybe got slightly better players who can do it better, but yeah, they're going to be that kind of team that just sits in, tries to hit us on the break and frustrates us a lot. So it's going to be a game that we might be a little bit frustrated at times. Just keep the heat, guys. I think even if it takes to 60, 70 minutes, we will get there and we will get the goals. So looking ahead, switch on to Rangers now. If you look at their team news and in terms of injuries, Katic is moving along nicely. He should be back in a couple of weeks. Didn't give a deadline for that, but I'd imagine maybe early February for that one. Edmondson has got a small procedure on his hernia, and he should be 3-4 weeks away. Obviously served his ban now. I think Gerrard's pretty much forgiven them and they can get back into the team. At the time him and Jones did what they did, I was very angry and I wanted them at the club straight away, but you know what, let's be honest, let's not just throw two decent players away just because they made a mistake. It didn't affect the team in the way it could have, so let's just, for me, I'm putting it under the cap and welcoming these guys back, and hopefully they can make a difference in the latter stages of the season. Arfield is progressing well. He's doing some work in the gym. He's been back in a couple of times this week. He's obviously nowhere near getting a game for this one, too far in front of him. Ruth is back in training. It's just light training just now, and he's not going to be back for a couple of weeks yet as well. Ryan Jack is back in full training. Gerrard and the medical staff are going to look at him after the training that they do, training session, and they're going to make a final decision on him whether he'll play in this Motherwell game. If not, he'll definitely be back for the Ross County game, and he'll definitely feature then. So looking forward to having Ryan Jack back, particularly with the injury to obviously Scott, Arfield and Ruth as well. And I think up front, Gerrard has got a big decision to make as well. Obviously Morelos did so well against Aberdeen last week and you'd expect him to start the game, but they've got options of Defoe to come in. Itten, as I said, has done really well against Motherwell this season. I wouldn't expect him to start, but he is in contention for coming off the bench, I would think. Also we've now got Ruth. Hadji's been playing really well. Died off a little bit at the end of the game against Aberdeen, but he did really well in that game, so I'd expect him to keep his place. Midfield obviously is going to be interesting. Does Jack play? I think the one to come out of there is probably Davis. He's played a lot of football the last couple of weeks. He's obviously an older player, so I'd imagine if anybody comes out of that midfield it will be Stephen Davis. I think they'll keep Aribo in there despite the fact he didn't play particularly well against Aberdeen. And now it's time for my prediction, guys. Make sure you get yours in the comments as well. I'm going to go very positive. I know I said it'll be a tight game, but I think once we get the first goals will follow. I'm going to go for Motherwell 0, Rangers 3. Goal scorers Morelos, Tavernier and Ryan Kent. I think Ryan Kent is due a goal after his performance against Aberdeen. Last couple of weeks he's been lacking. That against Aberdeen I thought he played really well and was unlucky not to get that goal when Johnny Hayes hit it off the line. So that's my prediction, guys. You can get yours in the comments below. I'm just going to wrap this video up, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully if you're new to the channel and you forgot, please subscribe now, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.